Hi, everybody. Audra coming at you from Studio Blue. Welcome to Abs, Thighs, Glutes. We are going to use the dreaded mini band today, if you have one. If you don't, you are welcome to grab a TheraBand so you can tie it in a little bow like the gift you are around your thighs. And if you just want to ditch the mini band or TheraBand completely, feel free. And as always, if anything doesn't feel right in your body, please opt out. You can always rest, say no to an exercise, don't do anything that feels bad. We're gonna start on our back, knees bent, feet flat with the mini band around our thighs. We're starting strong. And so once again, if you have a TheraBand, you can just tie it in a little bow and lie down and just kind of see where you are today without judgment, never with any judgment, right? Just as you inhale and exhale, see where your bony landmarks are, right? If one hip bone is hiked up toward your face, see if you can just kind of lengthen it so your hip bones are on the same plane. If your ribs are shifting, see if you can just bring them back to your center. Inner thighs in line with the crown of your head. If your chin is elevated and you're looking behind you, lengthen through the crown of your head so you can just rest. And we start by breathing. Just inhale in through your nose and exhale through your mouth. And notice where your breath is going to, right? If you've been stressed or sitting hunched over a computer, you might be bringing the breath up into your secondary respiration muscles, and you'll notice your shoulders lifting immediately. Or you might just be expanding into your belly. And we're gonna try to breathe three-dimensionally. So as you inhale, allow your diaphragm to lower. Think about breathing down into your pelvis, expand through the sides and backs of your ribs and your lower back until at the very end of your inhale, your chest elevates slightly. So your whole abdominal cavity is being filled with oxygen. And then as you exhale, think about narrowing through your ribs, through your hip bones, and kind of squeeze all the oxygen out of your lungs. And then inhale, let your diaphragm lower, everything expands. And exhale. One more nice deep breath. And on your exhale, imagine dragging your hip bones towards each other. Envision a hook below your belly button drawing in and up. And just gently press your sacrum into the mat, trying to feel that nice deep abdominal connection. And then relax. Inhale, nice and wide. And then exhale, hip bones, hook, sacrum. Last one like this. And then we pay attention to our feet. Allow them to be in line with your sits bones. Squeeze your glutes just enough that your knees can point towards the sky. Exhale, find that abdominal engagement and we imprint. So think about pulling your hip bones toward your face, lengthening through the front of your thigh. Rock back to neutral and then relax. Couple more just like that. So as you imprint, envision your pelvis is like a plate with a marble in the center, and you want to roll the marble toward your face and then roll the marble back away from your face, just back to center. And if your knees start to wobble, pay attention to which part of the move they wobble in and see if a little bit more abdominal or gluteal activation can help them. Now we hold this imprint, hold. See if you can deepen your imprint by pulling your hip bones toward your face, dialing them back even more. Once your glutes start to rise off the ground, squeeze them and then peel your spine up off the mat. Inhale at the top of your bridge We're just kind of seeing where we are. Put one hand on your sternum, inhale, and then exhale, melt your sternum away from your face. And then allow the rest of your spine to roll, letting the tissue of your lower back spread, coming into that nice neutral position. Couple more here. So exhale, peel, find that engagement. So don't be afraid to touch your buns here and see if they fire equally. At the top, you can think about dragging your heels towards you, knees going away from you, those glutes creating buoyancy. Inhale, exhale, melt, and roll all the way down. Now, if you're experiencing knee pain in your bridge, try a couple different things. You can either walk your feet away from you a tiny bit or out to the side just a hair. See if either of those create a little bit of relief. And if they do, that gives you a little bit of a clue as to what might be tight, right? So if your feet going away from you feels better, your bridge won't be as high, but it might be this main quadricep. If out to the side feels better, it might be your outer quadricep. So come back to center, scoop, peel, hold, squeeze underneath your glutes just a little bit more. Find that connection of your abs. Try not to drop the tailbone down and just keep the big toe down as we squeeze into the band and back and squeeze and back. I'll turn just a little bit on the mat so you can see what I'm doing. It's just a squeeze and back. So think of a clamshell here, except it's twice as good because it's a double clamshell, right? Like a double rainbow. Think about that thigh bone spiraling in the socket rather than just pushing out to the side. And if you roll out onto the blades of your feet, that's actually your nervous system trying to cheat some of the work. So squeeze the glute, press on out. 3 more here. 2 more. Last one, hold it out, just squeeze your glutes a little more. So keeping that rotation, tiny little squeezes. 5, 4, 3, 2, last one, hold, bring your knees together. Now stabilize on one side, don't move it, keep it still, press out with the other side and back. Keep stabilizing on that side as you rotate out. Try to keep that big toe mound down if you can. It's harder to do than it seems like it should be. And notice what part of the movement your body wants to respond to, right? So try to keep the hip bones facing the sky. We have a couple more here. 3, 2, last one, hold. Squeeze that one glute up and this glute out. So now we have tiny little rotated squeezes for 5, 4, 3, 2, last one, bring it back, other side. So hold it here, rotate to the other side and back. And just notice if your hip wants to rock, if you need to come down, come back up, find that underbutt, and we press and we come back. So the underbutt, that's its technical term, is right where that glute and hamstring kind of cross, right? If you focus on the underbutt, chances are you'll feel your glute max turn on a little bit more. And then that glute medius, the side part, is also trying to stabilize. 2 more. Last one, hold it out, squeeze and rotate. So now you're squeezing and holding tiny little rotating pulses for 5, 4, 3, 2, last one, come back to center, roll it down. Now just widen your feet to the edge of your mat and rotate your knees outward. So you're creating more tension on the band. If it starts to roll, you can always bring it underneath your knees. Just be aware, it's harder. So once again, no tension on the knees, rotate from the glutes. Now hinge up. Think about those heels dragging toward you, knees going away. Hip hinge halfway down, maintaining that position of your knees. If you try to just kind of go up and you notice, oh, well, one of my knees came across, slow it down, right? So 3 to 4 counts up. 3, 2, 1, squeeze, hold. Same count halfway down, hold. Squeeze and lift and hold. Keep those ribs drawing down. If you start feeling this in your back, notice if your ribs are lifting and leaving your tailbone behind. So you can come down, reset, squeeze from the underside, posteriorly tilting and lifting. And we have a couple more. Still narrowing through your ribs, still narrowing through your hip bones. 4, 3, think about those heels. Everybody's buns starting to fire and wake up. 2, last one, bring it up, roll it all the way down, hug your knees in toward your chest, and go ahead, let your lower back relax. Bring your feet back to the floor, find your neutral pelvis, and making sure with your neutral, right, that we're not actually in an anterior tilt. Our hip bones and pubic bone are on the same plane. Now, hip bones together, find the hook, press your sacrum into the floor. Interlace your hands behind your head, come into your chest lift. Now, when you're in your chest lift, we want to keep that neutral pelvis, but we're not forcing extension under our back, right? So neutral pelvis, lower back has to respond here, and then lengthen all the way back down. Let's do a couple more. Inhale, exhale, sink your ribs down, looking at your knees. Remember, we're leveraging from here, not our neck. 2 more. Last one, hold. Now bring your hands forward. Imagine I'm pulling you up. Now fingertips come up towards the sky, interlace, and lengthen back down. Now notice how as you come up, of course you have to go from that neutral into that posterior tilt, right? Just do it with deliberation, right? It's not just letting the spine lengthen. It's creating that canister of pressure with your transverse abdominis, and then allowing the spine to move from your superficial muscles. Last one like this. Bring it up, pull yourself up, hands come up, interlace and lengthen all the way down. Now just come into a regular chest lift. Now we're focusing on your pelvis only, so it's a small move. We rock the pelvis into our imprint, roll it back to center. So that marble in the center of your plate is going to roll toward your face and then roll back towards the center of the plate. Couple more. Lengthening through your thighs so your hip bones move and your hip bones move. 2 more like this. Last one. Come onto your toes. You guys know what's coming. So come into a gentle imprint to start, but still maintaining that active transverse abdominis, pelvic floor activation. Flex one heel. Tap it down. Other side. Tap it down. Now, if you want more challenge, you can switch your toes midair. Now, if you want even more challenge, instead of imprinting, make sure that you can do this in a neutral, right? So you've got to press your sacrum down, hot lava coming at you, and keep your back still. If as you lift your feet, your tailbone gets heavy, come back to your imprint, right? Now, if you want, you can just hold both of your toes towards the sky and then tap. Inhale, exhale, sink everything down like you have a sandbag on you. 3, 2, last one. Toes come down, slide your knees in, hug them towards your chest. Now, if you moved the band down below your knees, you might want to bring it up. We're going to do a little bit more glute before we charge on with our abs. So come onto your side. Now, if you'd like a little bit more challenge, lift up out of your shoulder and do this in kind of a hip plank position. Otherwise, come down onto your side, just support your head so you're not dropping it, okay? So go ahead, lift your heels so they're in line with your sits bones. You're beginning in an internal rotation, and look at your front or your top knee. It should be at least in line, if not slightly forward of your bottom knee. Lengthen your hip away. So you could slide a sheet of paper under here, right? So your spine is actually in one long line. Now squeeze that glute, spiral that thigh, hold, and then bring it back down. And then spiral it, and bring it back down. Now, if you try to aim it towards the sky, chances are, unless you've got amazing hip mobility, you're gonna rock back. And chances are, even if you have amazing hip mobility, you still might rock back. So aim it less to the sky and more towards an angle, right? So look at the corner of your room. Aim your knee towards that top corner. 5, 4, 3 more, 2. Think about that spiral coming from the glute. Last one, squeeze your cheeks together, tiny little pulses. 5, 4, 3, 2 more. Last one, bring the knee down, feet come down, extend that leg. Now you can absolutely keep this knee here. It offers a little bit more support. So lengthen that hip away, reach it, let that foot be floppy. Now, let the thigh bone fold in the socket and then squeegee it down. Pushing that foot so far away from you that it has no other option than to lift, right? Knee can stay forward. And all we want to avoid is lifting from our spine, right? So think of it lengthening, that spine stays nice and long and you're just pushing that foot away. We have 5, hopefully your glutes are fired up. 4, even without the band, if you're squeezing your muscles, it should be a challenge. 2, still finding your deep abdominals. Last one, hold, tiny little squeezes here. Boom, boom, boom. Dun, 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 dun. For 5, 4, 3, still lifting up away from the floor, letting that bottom oblique help you, and circle. And little tiny circle. So let's just try something. Little experiment. Try just circling from your foot. Now, find that connection. Just circle from your upper thigh bone. Now just circle from your glute. It feels a little different each time. Now, keep it with the glute and upper thigh bone, right? The glute is causing the thigh bone to stir in the socket. Think about dragging the foot back through wet sand or mud, and now reverse. So still drag it back from the glute. Almost there, we have 5, 4, 3, 2, last one, bring it down, bring your knees in front of you. Now think about tailbone back just a little bit. We're not arching, but we're allowing everything to kind of widen. Now we spiraled, and now we're just abducting and back. So just notice how this should be talking in a slightly different part of the glute than we started with. Of course, if you'd like more excitement in your life, you can keep the leg straight instead. You're just lengthening that lever, right? But if by lengthening the lever you lose your form, bring it back for 5. Keep that hip bone reaching forward just a little bit. Almost there. 2. Last 1. And we hold. Tiny squeezes. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring it down, smack that hip out. All right, other side. Everyone excited? I know I am. Now, once again, you can always be in this kind of hip plank position, making sure you're not going into slumber party shoulder, right? So your serratus is up, and you can start here. It's way more intense. You can also be down here, just making sure that your spine is nice and aligned, heels in line with your sits bones, and then we internally rotate, slide that hip bone away from your face, and then spiral, and then back down. You might notice that bottom side is trying to help. It was probably trying to before, you just didn't feel it because it was not as tired, right? It's trying to make sure that you're not lengthening too much or tucking, because that creates the TFL doing more work than the glutes. So slide your tail feathers back just a little bit, allowing a hip hinge. We have a few more here. 5. Think about a corkscrew. 4, 3, reaching it towards the corner of the room rather than the sky. 2, last 1, tiny squeezes. 5, 4, 3, 2, last 1, knees down, feet down, slide that foot away. Now think about trying to touch the wall with that foot. Notice how the hip sinks or pushes away from your face, and this elevation happens. Stick with that. Think about brushing that foot off the wall and bring it back down. So think about pushing it far away rather than up towards the sky, right? So if we think about height, we'll get the height, but possibly from a different place, right? Our bodies are really smart. And if we go, I want to get this range, it's like, well, I can't get this range from where you're asking me to get this range, so I guess I'll get it from somewhere else. A few more. 5 and 4. Connecting the thigh bone to the ribs. Almost there. And then we get to circle. So let's try that experiment on this side. So just start circling. Don't even think about where you're circling from. Now just circle from the foot. Now just circle from the upper thigh. Now just circle from the glute. Now focus on glute and inner thigh. Notice how intention changes the work. It's the exact same thing, but that intention changes everything. We have 3, 2, and last 1, and reverse. Once again, glute, upper thigh for 5, pushing away, 4, trying to keep the hips stacked as much as possible, almost there, 2, last 1, knees down, feet down, bring the knees slightly forward. Now slide that hip bone away from your face, making sure that we're not sinking or arcing, right? Nice long line. Rotate that hip bone forward just a hint so your knees are in line. And then pretend a wall is behind you as you lift. Oh, hello there. And then squeeze and back down. Once again, of course, if you want more excitement, you can lift the whole leg being extended if that's too much, or you lose your form, bring it back, right? All it does is lengthen your lever. Once again, make sure your tail feathers are spread wide. 5 more. You're wrapping from your glutes. Almost there. Try not to just internally rotate, right? Let the knee and foot basically come along at the same time if you can. And last one, hold it up. Tiny little squeezes. 5, 4, 3. I know. 2 and 1. Knees down, smack that hip out, and we're coming onto all fours. Don't worry, we're almost done with the band, but not quite. So first, always feel like you can come off of the mat with your wrists if you need to, or if you'd like a little bit less pressure, you can just bring the heel of your hand up onto the mat and offload. Make sure you're pressing into your fingertips. Otherwise, sink your breastbone forward, letting your shoulders shrug together. Now think of that Salvador Dali clock that melts. That's your tailbone. It's gonna melt down to the ground. Hip bones come up, find your abdominals, and then press into your hands, letting your back round. Now widen through your sits bones, come into a nice flat back. If your hip bones sank forward, try to use your abs to contain the range, just a hair. Now tailbone melts down, hip bones get pulled to the sky, and press up, and then widen. Let's do that one more time. So suction cup your hands to the ground. Almost imagine pulling the ground apart just a little bit. Tailbone glides down, hip bones come up, pulling your belly button through your spine and around your back. Now come back to center, center only. See if you can connect that left hand with your right oblique, and then take your right hand off the ground and just hold, try to find right oblique, left hand, and then see if you can squeeze that left inner thigh just a little. And now other side. So press into that hand, see if you can connect in with the opposite oblique, hold, and then see if you can just keep a little inner thigh connection. Hold. And then again. So now we're gonna go back and forth a little bit faster, but see if you can find that connection. Now, we're gonna add on. Are you guys ready? You excited? Good, me too. Now we're gonna hold. We're gonna extend that opposite leg away, and then squeeze and hold. Pushing that foot away, connecting in through the ribs. For 5, just hold, make sure that nothing tips. 4, 3, 2, now tiny little squeezes of that glute. Now, if that hip started rotating, it's not the end of the world. Just focus on this glute stabilizing you. And you, of course, can bring the hand down if you need more support, or keep it away from you for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, hold, bring the hand down, bend the knee, keep the thigh bone as still as possible. So if it started coming down, press it up towards the sky and extend, reach it long and bend. Find that core connection for 5 and 5, 4, reaching through that heel, reaching through your ears, almost there. And by there, I mean to our other delightful destination. and extend it out. Squeeze the glute. Think about dragging that foot back from your glute. If you're like, well, how does this function? Think of a wheelbarrow, right? As the handles lift, the wheel part descends. The wheel part is right here. The handle is out at the foot. For 4, 3, 2, hold. Now tap it out to the side. Bring it back. Tap it out to the side. Bring it back. As you bring it back, think about dragging your foot through mud for 5 more. And 4 more sets of 2. And 3 more. Like what I did there? No. And 2 more sets of 2. Equal weight distribution between both hands, if you can help it. Last 1, knees down, press yourself into a little rest position. Rolling out your wrists. All right, we're coming back into quadruped. Let's do a couple cat-cow, right? Modified cat-cow. So tailbone down, hip bones up, belly button through the spine, and then you can press and then flatten. As you flatten, think about almost dragging the heel of your hand towards your hips, and then press away. And then drag it towards you. Last one. And then widen and just connect in with the ground. Okay, one hand, opposite hand. Hold, slide that foot out. Think about that wheelbarrow as we squeeze and tap, squeeze and tap. Good. Think about pushing that foot away. And if you see that the knee starts bending, think about connecting up higher, and think about those laser beams, right? Laser beam from your abs all the way to your foot. Of course, you can bring your other hand down, or you can reach it out long, plugging the shoulder down for 5, 4, 3, you're almost there. Hollowing out through the front of your body just a little bit. Last 1, and we bend and extend. Feel free to bring that other hand down. Now, if you're starting to rotate, see if you can aim your hip bones back towards the floor. If you need a break to do it, that's okay. Notice how when I'm extending, my thigh is in one place, and as I'm bending, I'm fighting gravity here, but I'm not sinking the hip bones down, right? We have a few more. Reach long. So before, we did this with the pointed toe, right? These, and now we're flexing our foot. 2, last 1. Now this time, extend, keep it flexed as you squeeze, squeeze. 5, 4, 3, toes pointing down, 2. Now we externally rotate, tap it out, take it back, tap it out, and press it back. And again, reach, few more, 5, 4, 3, 2, and last 1, knees down. Press yourself into a rest position. Roll out your wrists, let your back relax. And then we take the band off. Now, as we take the band off, feel free to roll onto the sides of your hips. Now, if your band is a pretty intense band, you might choose to do this without it. That's okay. Otherwise, extend your arms, band in hand, shoulders down. Now think about your posterior shoulder as the initiator for this. If you feel your neck or the front of your shoulder, ditch the band, okay? So first, palms are up, shoulders are down, pressing gently out, feet are flat. Now, press your feet down and away, curl your tailbone toward your face, lengthen through your hips, rock back behind your tailbone. That's it. If your shoulders have started to elevate, depress them. Now just bend your biceps. Hold, keep that tension, and extend. If you're up on your tailbone, you're probably gonna start feeling the front of your hips and your quads. So always, always, always scoop, roll back, lengthening through the front. We've got bicep curl 3, shoulders down 2, last 1, extend. Keep one arm extended, pull back, shoulder down. See if you can connect in more with those abs. Extend, pull down and back, other side. Just a couple more. If your shoulder came up, think about dragging that elbow into your back pocket. 2 more. Last set. Hopefully your abs are working here. Now, bring your hands into the band, palms up slightly, if that works for you. Keeping your hips and knees still, rotate your ribs to one side. Come back to center. Rotate your ribs to the other side and back. If you're like, oh, no thank you, ditch the band. If you need a little bit of support, make finger guns. And just think about that fingertip that's on top reaching a little farther than the fingertip that's on the bottom. Rotating your rib cage around your spine. And if you notice that one of your hips wants to lift, don't go as far, keep it weighted down. Couple more here. 3, 3, 2. Of course, if you need to put anything below your back, of course you can. Last set. Hopefully those obliques are working. And back. Elbows can come onto the floor. Now, if you have a ball that you would like to put behind you instead, that's a-okay. Otherwise, hip bones come towards your face. Sink your ribs down, but try not to just let yourself sink into your shoulders. You're actually gonna press your elbows into the mat to help you lift. Bring one leg to tabletop, other leg comes to meet it. Think about your hip bones pulling gently toward your face. Keep them there. You can even touch them. Reach one knee away. Fold at the thigh bone to bring it back. Other side. Now, if you're like, oh, I just feel my hip flexors, bring them in closer to your face, curl higher. When you tap, think about sliding your heel towards you to get a little bit more hamstring activation, right? So a little tiny nugget shape, sinking your belly button in and down, finding your deep abdominals, right? That lift of your pelvic floor, that kind of narrowing through your hip bones. And if your tailbone starts to rock, just say, not today, thank you. And if you also squeeze your inner thighs together in between the move, it can help kind of cue you out of your hip flexors just a little bit. Now, if that's not challenging enough, make sure that you're holding onto your hip bones, look down at your belly button, curl into your tiny nugget, and start to let your knees go away from you just a little bit. They do not need to make it to the floor. And then hug your abs up as they come back up. Now, first one never counts, right? So when your knees came up, if your lower back sank down, that's fine. Keep it here now, right? Lower back stays right where it is because of the power of your abs. So now if you go and your tailbone gets heavier and then your hip bones get heavier, you're moving from your back as opposed to your core. Give me just a few more here. If you need to widen through your elbows, that's fine. 3. You can also readjust in between if you need to. 2. Last one, last one. Hold, float one leg up, take it down, float the other leg up, take it down. Notice how it's the exact same move, except the weight is farther away from our face. 3, connecting in with that opposite oblique if you can. And last set, bring both your legs back up, reconnect into your tiny nugget. Now, squeeze your knees together. Let that top hip lift, only taking your knees a little bit away. Sink your rib down, narrow through your ribs as well as your hips, come back to center. Reconnect, other side. Now, if your knee starts sliding, it's got to make it to the top. So that means if the hip starts crunching, or you just are like, oh, I think that I just kind of got to move a little, you've gone too far. So that's the reconnecting, right? Bringing everything back to center and then seeing how far you've got to go, right? So it's like if you're kind of in a hurry to get to the grocery store and you're like, okay, have I got my wallet, my phone, and my keys? And you leave and you realize you've left something behind and then you have to go back, right? So you're making sure, am I organized? Yes. One more each side, just like this. And then we get to extend, right? So hold if you want, extend, bring it back, bend, hold, extend, bring it back. And again, let the knees squeeze together, reaching your toes and back. And again, boom, boom. Hug your knees in towards your chest, let everything relax. So now let's try supine spine twist, which has the exact same concept as what we just did, but can be harder to find. So let your arm bones be heavy in the socket as your fingertips come up towards the sky. And you can either be in a T position or a goalpost position. Hollowing out through the front of your body, let your ribs be heavy. Bring your knees to your tabletop position, using those glutes for some buoyancy, inner thighs active. Keep your opposite rib down as long as possible. As you rotate, hold. If your shoulder's coming up, keep it down. Keep the knees in alignment. Now drag it back from that internal oblique. Other side. So, of course, there are variations of different spine twists where it's all about twisting the spine into its full range, right? But what we're trying to do is actually get the muscles to fire. And so we're only taking it into our range where we can really get those muscles to work. Now, if you want more, of course, extend the feet and be aware that you can kind of let it get away from you if you don't use full control, right? So just let the legs go away just a bit, pressing your hands into the floor to help stabilize you, whether it's goalpost or T. And back, last one. Come back to center, hug your knees in, let your back relax. Now, extend one leg away. If your hip bone followed your foot, lengthen through it, right? We don't necessarily need to imprint, but we want to find that length through our hip flexor and our quad. Now, hands behind that opposite thigh. Press your hands into the thigh, thigh into the hands, curl into a little chest lift, and then relax down. Let's try that again. And if you were like, ooh, I was a little crooked, now's your time to reconnect, pressing in and then coming back. Just a couple more. Pressing in and then coming back. Now, as you do this, think about tug of war, right? Your thigh, your hamstring and glute are pushing away, almost winning tug of war, and then your abs are winning tug of war, but they're not letting go. Last one like this. Now, that other side can push so far away from you that maybe it starts to float. If you lift from here and you're like, oh, I just feel my hip flexors connect in with the ribs. So there's like a seatbelt going around your ribs that thigh connects to. So push it away, and then we press, and then we roll, and then we roll back. And then we push, trying to keep yourself from lifting too far up. We still want to keep it behind the tailbone. Last one like this. And then we get to do the other side. So slide it in, lengthen it out. We are building to something, don't worry. So find that length through the thigh. We're just gonna press hamstring glute, curling through the spine, and then roll back. Now you can just come up a little bit if you want, or if you're just dying for some roll-ups, you can come all the way up, right? No problem. Still scooping from your abdominals, still lengthening through the crown of your head. Still trying to connect your abs to your hands. Now you can push that other foot so far away from you that maybe it starts to float, and then we push, 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 push in order to come up. So if you let yourself come up too far, that foot comes down, you come up onto your tailbone, hip flexor town, right? So instead, try to roll just behind your tailbone, still creating that tiny nugget shape, and down, 2 more. All right, last one, and come all the way down. Now, as we do this, try to push your foot so far away that both of those concepts apply, right? Hamstrings, glutes, as well as them being connected into our rib cage. So sink your ribs down, coming into your chest lift. Push one foot away. Push it so far away that it helps lift you, and we rotate to the opposite side. Come back to center, same side. Push that same foot away. Push it so far away it helps lift you, and then we rotate and back. Couple more, same side, same side. Push as a way to help leverage you, and back. Last one. Reach, rotate, hold. Rotate the other direction. Keep pushing that foot away, hold. Rotate the other direction again, hold. And again, back and forth, keeping that pelvis as still as possible, rotating your rib cage as opposed to just your shoulder girdle, right? Lifting your sternum. When you start sinking, push that foot away from you more. 2, hold. Now switch just the legs, switch, pushing that foot away, hold. Now switch just the legs, push, 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 finding that little bit of connection through the glute and the hamstring. Those obliques should be working hard. Try to convince those inner thighs to help you just a little bit. Last set, and switch, hold. Just move that leg close to you, come back to center. If you need to, come down in between. Otherwise, maintain that lift. Rotate, push, same side, hold. And bring it on back, yes. And rotate, same side. And back. 2 more. Push, push, push. Last one, we're gonna hold. Yeah. And then just rotate your upper body. Oh, that's tricky, huh? And then switch. Your abs getting tired? Mine are. And then switch. See if you can do this without letting your whole shoulder blade come down, right? So think about that push to help offload. Back and forth a couple times and rotate and rotate. Last one, hold just the legs, reach, freeze, and switch, and switch. We're almost there. 5, 4, 3, 2 more sets, and come back to center. Hug your knees in towards your chest. Bring your feet down. Bring your hands overhead. Now, if this is where you are, that's okay. Keep those ribs connected. Slide one foot at a time out, making sure that your pelvis stays as still as possible. Pressing your whole sacrum down. Now sink your ribs down, lift, look at your feet, inhale. Exhale, you can imprint and roll up. And then reach your hands toward your feet, hug your abs up and in, like someone you like is hugging you. Now roll your hip bones back like it's a wheel and back, keeping those ribs connected. Inhale, exhale, reach, and then roll it on back. Give me just a couple more. Reaching forward, and then back. Back and forth, just a couple. Reach, and then roll it back. Now we can always add on a little bit of oblique activation if you're ready for it. So we roll back, pick a side, inhale, roll and reach towards that side and back. And then other side. Notice how it can change a little from side to side, right? This is my tricky side. So I have to be really aware, otherwise I roll on the one side and then kind of hinge on the other. And back. We've got just a couple more. Now, if you want more excitement in your life, think about the foot that you're rotating towards, pushing so far away from your body that it has no other option than to lift. And back down, other side. Push that foot away. Now, if you want even more excitement, push both of your feet away, scoop, tiny nugget, and then back down, making sure that everything stays connected and that you're not dropping out of your abs or out of your hips, right? The feet are actually connected to the ribs, which I know sounds insane, but it's true. One more, each side. And then we hug our knees in towards our chest and rock from side to side. Go ahead, have your hands behind your thighs. Press your thighs into your hands, start rocking up onto all fours for front support and some variations thereof. If being on your forearms in a plank doesn't feel great, no, if being on your hands in a plank doesn't feel great, you can be on your forearms, and you can even prop your forearms onto like a chair or your couch or something to give yourself a little bit more height. Otherwise, hands underneath your shoulders, think about opening a pickle jar, lift your ribs towards the sky, slide one foot out, other foot out, hold, lengthening through the crown of your head. Now fold one knee underneath you and reach it back. Other side, reach and back. Think about one long line from the crown of your head to your tailbone, and another line from your tailbone towards your feet. Think about a suction cup being on your lower back. Now hold this one, rotate it, and back. Other side, fold, hold. Rotate and back. Couple more. And back. Rotate and back for 3 sets. 2 sets. Don't worry about rotating so far that you sink into your shoulders. Last set. Knees down, press yourself into a rest position, rolling out your wrists. Now go ahead, slide your elbows in towards you, suction cupping your hands down. Now think about the bottom tips of your shoulder blades, right? So shoulder blade, bottom tip, there's a triangular muscle, right? Think about drawing it down and to the opposite pocket. So not just a retraction, okay? Glad you're coming with me. So think about shoulder blades draw down your back, suction cup your hands, squeeze the bottom tips of your shoulder blades together. Open your heart, lift your breastbone just a little bit. So hopefully you feel that activation through your mid-back, and then relax. Let's try again. Bring it down. Extend through your heart, and then relax. Now, if this is where you are, stay here, it's fine. Down, down, down. Now, if you'd like a little bit more, we can add a little bit more. Fingertips reach down, shoulder blades down. If you're really internally rotated, try to bring your humeral head in line. Now, reach your fingertips towards the floor. Flip your palms down and then up like you're going to high five yourself, shoulder blades draw down, and then push as if you're swimming, reaching your fingertips down. And then they flip your palms up. You're gonna high five yourself. If you actually do it, that's great because you deserve it. And then hug your armpits together as you reach your fingertips away from you. Shoulder blades draw down and around. And then together. Last one, down and around, and then back. Now go ahead, come onto your bellies. And then put your fingertips underneath your hip bones for a second. And think about your pubic bone being heavier than your hip bone. So as you do this, if all of a sudden you're rocking into your hip bones or you kind of crush your hands, sink your pubic bone lower. So think about that hug of your deep abdominals, pubic bone gently weighted, push 1 foot away. Think about the wheelbarrow and down, other side, push, wheelbarrow, back, push, and back, push, and back. Now hands come forward, shoulder blades draw down your back. Think about your armpit muscles and you squeeze and you squeeze. So really think about glute, lat, posterior shoulder rotators. Now if you want, shoulder blades down your back, hands point down, and we inhale 2, 3, 4, 5, exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. If you start rocking, slow it down. And 5, 4, 3, 2. Hands come down, press yourself into a rest position, letting your back round, letting your tailbone melt down. Take your hands up and over to one side. Let those fingertips reach even farther. You can press your hips away. Now just keeping this rotation, press that hand down, come into a nice little arch, and then round. And then lift your chest, lift your breastbone, lift your heart, and then other side. Up and over, taking that hand around the wrist, reaching it away. And then you can press your palm into the ground as you lift and down. Couple more. Lift. Notice how it might feel a little different from side to side, and that's fine. Last one. Come back to center. Roll yourselves all the way up. Let one ear drop down to your shoulder and then look down to the ground. Take it to the other shoulder and back up. One more. Opposite side. Look down, take it around and back. Now a couple arm or shoulder circles up, down, and back. And last one, bring it up to your ears. Drop it straight down, let gravity help. One more. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I cannot believe our hour is up. You're a champion and you're amazing. Thank you so much. I hope to see you really, really soon. Oh, yay. Thank you, Patty. I'm glad you were here. You guys are all amazing. How did everything feel? Yeah. Oh, thank you, Janet. I got bored and dug under my counter and saw what color I had. Thank you. Sandra, you too. You are all amazing. Thank you. I hope to see you again soon. Have a great rest of your week, everybody. Hi, Kyle. Hi, Pam. Hi. Have a great rest of your week, everybody. I'll see you really soon.